a complex and wondrous living machine. Like any machine, our bodies are composed of smaller parts that work together. The various tasks that are performed each day, such as breathing, eating, and digesting food, and the movement of our blood, are performed by specialized structures known as organs. Examples of organs include the lungs, stomach, heart, and brain.
Ya, organ itu organ apa sih? Paru, organ lambung, organ jantung. Sistem tadi apa? Sistem pernapasan, sistem digesting, mengolah makanan, sama sistem blood, aliran darahnya, sistem peredaran darah.
All of these organs and other body parts like our skin and muscles are made of smaller living units called cells.
Semua organ itu dibentuk dari yang paling kecil disebut sel. Sel itu apa? Organ itu kumpulan dari sel-sel ya.
Our lungs are a good example of how many cells work together to perform a specialized task. The cells in our lungs work together to allow us to take in oxygen from the air and get rid of waste products such as carbon dioxide.
Ini kan sistem pernapasan ya. Jadi dari mana sih? Dari kumpulan organ-organ ini apa? Yang di organ paru dijadikan satu jadi membentuk suatu sistem. Ada oksigen yang masuk, ada karbon dioksida yang keluar.
Our lungs are composed of many millions of cells working together to accomplish this task. Cancer is the result of a long process that begins when one of the cells in an organ or tissue becomes damaged or altered in a way that causes it to break free from the normal controls.
Jadi kanker itu berprosesnya nggak cepet ya. Jadi butuh bertahun-tahun dia baru menjadi sel kanker. Ya, yang ibu bilang tadi sebenarnya kita semuanya punya sel kanker, tapi ada sistem yang menghentikan supaya sel kanker itu tidak terbentuk ya.
That allow our cells to work together in harmony. A group of misbehaving cells can cause the same kinds of problems in a body that a defective part would cause in any other type of machine. A normal cell will divide only when it receives a chemical signal telling it to do so.
Nah, ini yang dibilang komunikasi sel nih. Bagian-bagian sel ini berkomunikasi antara sel yang satu dengan sel yang lain. Yang kayak contohnya tadi di mana? Di mata. Ada retina, ada pupil, ada kornea. Di masing-masing berkomunikasi untuk nih, tugasnya di masing-masing ini ya.
These signals are interpreted in the nucleus, and the cells reproduce their genetic information and divide into two identical daughter cells through a process called mitosis. Cancer cells do not obey this rule.
Mitosis, pembelahan. Tapi sel kanker ini tidak mematuhi peraturan dari proses mitosis. Ibu bilang tadi, semua yang untuk menghentikan proliferasi sel, pembelahan sel sama dia nggak dipatuhin, dia tetap aja membelah jadi
They will divide even if they do not receive appropriate signals. In addition to the signals that normal cells receive telling them to divide, they are also told when to stop dividing. This prevents
suruh berhenti, yang namanya suruh berhenti. Kayak sel rambut kalau masih bisa panjang bisa panjang terus. Sel mata udah waktunya berhenti ya berhenti. Mau segede apa kalau sel mata masih terus berkembang ya kan? Gak bisa bayangin deh.
too many cells from being made. In fact, the cell division process is a highly ordered process. This is a critical issue in cancer because cancer cells do not obey or require normal signals for division. This can lead to the formation of a mass of cells that piles up and may form a tumor. Also different from normal cells is the ability of cancer cells to continue dividing indefinitely.
Continue dividing untuk terus membelah diri ya. Jadi dia akhirnya lama-lama jadi besar ya.
An important point about cells is that no matter what their job is in the body, they all have the same general structure. The cells that make up our lungs, heart, or brain are all similar in their overall appearance, even though their jobs are quite different. Just as the organs that they form are made of smaller structures, cells themselves are composed of smaller parts that...
Sel itu kan udah kecil-kecil. Nah, di bagian sel itu ada yang namanya inti sel. Inti sel itu otaknya dari si sel yang menyuruh si sel itu bekerja. Jadi sel itu punya otak juga. Namanya apa?
Help them perform their jobs. These smaller structures are called organelles. Of particular importance in cancer is the organelle known as the nucleus.
Ini, nukleus.
The nucleus can...
Tempatnya DNA keluar ya, nukleus itu otaknya dari si sel. Kalau kita manusia, otaknya ini gede. Nah, masih otak, jantung itu kan punya organel organ-organ kecil, sel-sel kecil. Di dalam sel kecil itu juga dia punya otak ya, namanya nukleus.
Be thought of as the brains of a cell. It contains the information that acts as the blueprint for each and every one of us, just as a manual would contain instructions to assemble a chair. Specifically, this information is contained within the chromosomes that reside in the nucleus. Individual units of information are called genes.
Informasi dari setiap sel adalah namanya gen. Gen yang ada sekitar 3.000 gen.
At a chemical level, genes are made of deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. All of our cells contain the same set of information. It is only how the information is used that makes them different. For example, cells in the lungs use different bits of the blueprint to do their job than the cells in our stomach. In cancer, changes to the DNA cause some of the genes to fail to perform or to do their job in a way that causes problems.
Jadi kalau sel kanker itu masuk ke dalam DNA yang harusnya dia diperintahin buat misalnya mendigest makanan, mengolah makanan, dia nggak pakai lagi. Yang harusnya nggak sesuai lagi mau fungsinya, harus mau menghasilkan makanan, mengolah makanan dia
Problems with the affected individual. In short, all cancers are thought to result from changes to DNA that alter critical genes and change the behavior of the affected cells. If a change occurs to the nucleotide sequence, it is like having the letters of a word changed. An alteration in a gene is called a mutation. How do all these changes occur? There are actually a number of different things that can cause mutations. Examples include chemicals that can be swallowed or inhaled, such as those found in...
Ya, tadi ya. Sel itu bermutasi karena apa? Tadi chemical, racun-racun yang ada di udara, rokok, makanan-makanan yang tadi yang nggak sehat yang kehirup atau ketelan ya.
Chewing tobacco and cigarette smoke, and radiation from the sun or artificial sources like a tanning bed. Sometimes mutations occur without any known external cause. They just happen. Certain genes make products that lead cells to reproduce. This would be equivalent to the gasoline system in cars.
Oli dalam sistem mobil. Tadi protein,
The genes that are responsible for making cells divide are known as proto-oncogenes.
Nah, proto-oncogen
Changes in
itu
this
apanya?
knowledge
Remnya ya.
lead
Proto-oncogen sama yang apa lagi? MYJ ya. MYJ.
to the production of oncogenes. The result may be cells that divide in the absence of proper signals. It is the equivalent of a gas pedal that is stuck in the on position, making a car go even when no foot is pushing down. Genes whose products function as the equivalent of cellular brakes also exist. As a group, these genes are known as tumor suppressors. Humans have 2 copies of each gene, one inherited from each parent. If a single copy of a tumor suppressor is damaged, the other copy is usually able to stop the cell from behaving abnormally.
Jadi kalau salah satu yang rusak ininya dari
Suppressor genes are damaged.
bisa di cover sama gen yang satunya misalnya.
The process by which tumors cause the body to provide them with nutrients is known as angiogenesis.
Ini ya yang dibilang yang tadi angiogenesis. Dia membentuk pertumbuhan pembuluh darah baru ya. Jadi sel kanker itu butuh hidup juga. Dia bikin pembuluh darah
Like
baru.
the hungry plant in the little shop of horrors, a growing tumor sends out
tanaman yang lapar. Dia butuh hidup juga. Jadi dia ngambil nutrisi di sel sebelahnya.
signals that essentially
Ini
say,
ibarat akar-akarnya
feed
nih,
me.
padahal ini sepertinya
The
ini
messages
pembuluh
from
darah
the
ya.
tumors cause nearby blood vessels
Dia ngambil
to send over new extensions
nutrisi
that
dari
deliver food and oxygen.
Sel di sekitarnya.
Importantly, the blood vessels also serve as a passageway for the movement of tumor cells to neighboring and distant parts of the body. Spread of tumors to distant locations is of great importance in cancer.
Spread up itu apa artinya? Penyebaran tumor itu tergantung dari tempatnya dia asalnya di mana ya. Sama makanan nutrisi yang dia
About
dapat.
90% of the deaths due to cancer involve tumors that have spread around the body.
90% itu kematian kanker itu karena apa? Metastase ya, karena penyebaran. Kalau yang lokal aja biasanya bisa diangkat terus bisa sembuh. Tapi kalau yang udah metastase, yang itu yang dokter suka bilang ibu umurnya tinggal segini lagi. Dokter
The
jadi bisa
movement of
nentuin,
tumor
ya.
cells to other parts of the body is known as metastasis.
Ya.
Metastasis is a complex process during which cancer cells break off of the original or primary tumor
Ini dia yang
and
jalan
move
ini
through
ya.
the body to form tumors at new locations.
Dia lagi
From the-
nyari lokasi yang baru, tempat yang baru yang di mana nih kira-kira dia bisa survive, bisa bertahan hidup. Jadi dia carinya apa? Yang oksigennya banyak, yang nutrisinya banyak. Biasanya di mana? Dia
Point of
cari
view of a
pembuluh
cancer
darah, ya.
cell, this is a dangerous and often unsuccessful process. A trip through the body is full of hazards that cause the death of most cells that begin the journey, even tough cancer cells. To begin the process, individual cells must break away from the tumor and invade nearby vessels. The cells crawl along the surface of other cells and the fibrous, stringy structure surrounding them and then force their way in. Shown here
Ini
is
yang
the
tadi
invasion of the
proses
blood
metastase ya. Jadi dia berusaha masuk ke pembuluh darah, menginvasi pembuluh darah.
supply. Once inside a blood vessel, the cancer cells may perish from a variety of causes.
Masuk ke
Some
dalam
cells
organ darah.
die simply because they are unable to survive,
Ada yang mati sendiri karena dia nggak sanggup untuk bertahan di aliran pembuluh darah.
floating around in the bloodstream.
Kan deras itu pembuluh darah.
Others
itu kan
may
alirannya
become
deras.
damaged and die when they squeeze through tight spaces or bump into the walls of the blood vessel.
Ada juga yang mati karena sel-sel pembuluh darah sel darah ini ya yang leukosit tadi yang gue bilang ya.
Still, other migrating cells may be recognized and destroyed by cells of the immune system.
Nah, ada juga yang mati karena sistem imun yang ada di pembuluh darah ya. Sistem imun kita.
How and where the migrating cells stop is
Migrasinya
different
kemana
for
sih?
different cancer types. Once the tumor cells are no longer moving, they can begin the process of forming a new tumor by leaving the blood vessel and begin
Dia bisa menjadi tumor yang baru dengan meninggalkan pembuluh darah, keluar dari pembuluh darah untuk
Beginning
cari
to reproduce
tempat
in the
yang
new
baru
location.
untuk memproduksi lagi ya.
This does not always occur, and cells that have made it this far may still die or fail to divide.
Kadang-kadang
If the
dia
new
masih bisa gagal juga untuk membelah.
Environment is suitable, the newly arrived cell will begin to grow and a new tumor will develop.
Apa ini? Apoptosis apa? Itu harus hafal ya, patofisiologi itu keluar terus tuh apoptosis.
One way that the development of cancer
Sel
is
memakan
prevented
sel di
is
sekitarnya.
via the death of defective cells. A cell that becomes mutated or damaged will first attempt to repair the damage. If that is not possible, the cells will commit the cellular version of suicide. An orderly process called apoptosis leads to the breakdown of key cell parts and the death of the cell.
Kalau di manusia
Cancer
apa?
cells
Kanibal
lose
ya.
this critical
Manusia makan
capability
manusia, kalau dia sel
and will
makan
continue to divide.
sel.
This can lead to the accumulation of cells that can become more and more abnormal.
Nggak pengaruh apoptosis yang ada di tubuh, dia tetap aja tumbuh.
Due to the high rate at which cancer cells accumulate mutations, a tumor that originally started as a single abnormal cell is actually made up of many slightly different cells. They are all cancer cells and are similar to each other, but they may not all have the same sensitivity to any particular cancer drug or treatment.
Jadi walaupun obatnya udah dikasih, nggak semua sel kanker ini bisa berefektif sama obat kanker yang dikasih. Makanya walaupun orang udah dikasih pengobatan sampai ke luar negeri, ada juga yang meninggal kan. Sedikit sekali yang bisa hidup lagi ya. Tergantung metastasenya tadi ya.
When this mixed bag of cells is exposed to a drug, most of the cells will probably die.
Biasanya mati selnya kalau dikenain obat.
Those cancer cells that are resistant to the treatment may reproduce to reform a new tumor. Importantly, this new tumor will be unlikely to respond.
Nah, yang tadi pemeriksaan misalnya CA125 penanda tumor. Ini buat tahu apa? Dia kalau masih tinggi obatnya dokter harus kasih sebagaimana. Ntar kalau misalnya udah turun dokter harus kasih dosisnya seperti apa, semana lagi. Kalau selama pengobatannya berhasil dia semakin turun CA125-nya. Jadi itu ya, CA penanda tumor itu penting untuk pengobatan sebelum, selama dan sesudah pengobatan.
To the same treatment. Their mutations make them invulnerable to that drug.
Ada yang nggak terbunuh malah dia menjadi tambah kuat ya dengan obat-obat kanker itu. Itulah kanker. Ya, selesai. Ada pertanyaan? Kita udah lewat ya Pak ya. Maaf ya Pak. Kelebihan berapa? 15 menit. Wih. Udah selesai.